Hello and welcome. I'm on holiday and I want to do some maintenance on my Cannondale M600. So today we're going to do a shifter rebuild. We're going to work on a pair of MC30s. This will be part 1, the 7-speeded side, and part 2 will follow up very shortly. So let's begin. So we're going to work with the 7-speed side first. Underneath we're going to need to remove this bolt and a Phillips screw. Luckily for me, I bought a Wearer kit for my mum for Christmas, so we're going to have some basic tools to use. Make sure you move all the tension. Here the nut is going to be removed clockwise. So unclick that spring. Next is we can remove the mech now and the plastic seal. Here we have a bushing. Let's take off the lever. There's a pull. Take off the nylon bushing underneath. Here there's a pull to take off. Let's remove that clip. Pull and a spring. Next you have another return spring. There's a bushing here and a copper washer underneath that. You can now remove the lever. Now we need to take off this plate. There's a clip right here to take off. We can now lift up this plate. Let's take off these two pulls that are on the side. There's another clip here to remove. We can now lift this up. There's a bit of tension on here, not too much though. If you look here, it says MC10, just like on the, I'm guessing it's in reference to the Alivio MC10. So we have the return spring that doesn't remove, and here we have the sprocket. Right now we're going to tidy up and try and assemble this before it gets dark. Right, so I've given my best at cleaning all the parts. I'm now going to add on some grease. Now, unfortunately on holiday I don't have the best of grease. I have this Mottle grease. It's kind of like a universal grease, but I think it should do for what I'm about to do. Now, for you, you might want to use Teflon, like what I usually use in all my videos. So I'm going to grease this up and then we're going to assemble it. You'll want to grease all the parts where there's friction and the pivots. So we're going to start here with the spring. This tip here is eventually going to go through this hole on the right, and it then after runs through there and goes onto this bottom plate in the hole right there above, where you can see my finger, tip of the finger. And the tip of the spring that's sticking outwards is going to go into the slit of the cam, so we're going to insert that now. And then after, it will go through this hole on the right. Now this cam is eventually going to be sitting like this, however we need to tension up this spring. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the shaft in the middle, and we're going to turn it into the point where the tip of that spring that's sticking out is going to go into the hole which I pointed out earlier, right here. And then after, this should have return. So let's do this now on camera. Even easier, that's something to hold. And that should be like this now. Make sure it's nice and flat. Next, grab the sprocket. Next, we're going to work on the pulls that are here. So grab that spring that we had from before. The shorter tip is going to go into the hole at the back here. We're going to now put the pull in this position. You're going to need to recline that other tip of the spring backwards for it to fit in. Now you're going to want this pushed enough down to expose the tiny little slit on the side here, so we can insert the clip next. So you might need to push this down with a plier or something. So now we can put the circlip on by putting down with a plier. Makes it a lot easier. And we have the next pull to put on. Grab this plate, and that bent part is going to go on the top, and we're going to have that top part of that pivot going through the hole. Push that all the way down, and then we're going to put another clip right here. Now you can grab the lever. That part that's facing downwards is going to go eventually here, flicking up that pull. Grab this bushing, and you can put that copper gold coloured washer back on, and that's going to seat in between the hole of the lever facing downwards. Now for the return spring of that lever, the hook part's going to go hooking around here, and the other tip facing downwards is going to hook behind the lever. grab the spring for the pull of the next lever, so the shorter hook part, if you can just see that on the camera, is going to go into the hole on the left of the shaft, so you can stick that through till it goes to the other side. And then we've got the pull, which should be facing this way, so that it's reclining. And then we've got a clip on the top of this holding everything. And don't forget the nylon bushing that seats right next to that. Okay, take the lever now, recline back the pull and seat it onto the mech, and you want that pull to face facing forward, or where there's that big tooth on the sprocket. Trying to capture that on camera, the sun suddenly brightened. Seated in here is a bushing, so grab the bushing and push that through into the lever. And for this return spring, the hook part will go latching onto the lever here, so you'll fit that underneath. And we're now going to put the plate, which seats on roughly here. Now for the other tip of that spring, we're going to put it towards this part right there. So you'll need either a flat-headed screwdriver. I'm going to use my trusty Swiss knife. So tensioning that spring, we're going to aim for that part, and there you go, we've done it. And as you can see, it's now in the right place. Make sure that's all pushed down and laying flat. Grab the nut, and it's going to be screwed down anti-clockwise. Make sure that you put some Loctite if you have some. Not too tight. Don't forget to put the seal back on. And for the mechanism, make sure that you put that tip of the dial into the hole of the cam underneath right here. Now put the cover back on. And now we can put the bolt. And the Phillips screw. Right, well, perfect, it's working. So thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the second part for the free speeded side.